I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now and pay attention, because what I am about to tell you in the next few minutes could be the most consequential financial information you receive in the entire year of 2026. And if you are sitting on physical silver wondering why the price crashed from $120.88 to the mid-70s and thinking you made a mistake, I am going to systematically dismantle that fear with cold, hard data, verified numbers, and documented facts that the mainstream financial media is not putting together for you in one place. And by the time I am done, you are going to understand that what just happened to the silver price was not a signal to sell. It was a signal to hold tighter than you have ever held anything in your life. Let me start with what just happened, because context is everything. Silver hit an all-time record high of $121.88 per ounce in late January 2026, the first time in history the white metal crossed $100. Let me say that again. For the first time in the entire history of recorded silver markets, silver crossed $100 an ounce. That happened. Then, in a matter of hours, CME Group, the operator of the COMEX futures exchange, hiked margin requirements on silver futures contracts to 60%, not 10%, not 20%, 60%. That forced every leveraged trader, every speculator running on borrowed money, every hedge fund that bought paper silver on credit to either post more capital immediately or get liquidated. Thousands of paper positions were forced sold into a falling market simultaneously, and that cascade of paper selling artificially drove the price down 31 to 36% in a single session. Do not let anyone tell you that move represented a change in the fundamentals. The CME changed the rules mid-game, and the paper market broke. Your physical silver in your hand did not go anywhere. Your ounces are still yours, and here is what those ounces are sitting on top of. As of February 11, 2026, COMEX official depository statistics confirm that registered silver, the metal actually available to fulfill delivery contracts, fell below 100 million ounces for the first time in recent history, landing at 98,138. 1,005 ounces after a single-day negative adjustment of 3,256,882 ounces in the registered category. In the same 24-hour period, eligible silver, the inventory stored in COMEX vaults but not yet warrantied for delivery, declined by more than 4.7 million ounces. That is nearly 8 million ounces draining in a single day from two inventory categories simultaneously. And this is happening against the backdrop of a March 2026 contract that, as of early February, carried open interest of approximately 429 million ounces against just 103 million ounces of registered inventory. That is a 4-to-1 mismatch between what has been promised on paper and what physically exists to deliver. In January 2026 alone, COMEX deliveries reached 49.4 million ounces, 7.27 times the equivalent figure from 2024. The drainage rate of registered inventory has been running at approximately 785,000 ounces per day. Since October 2025, COMEX registered silver has fallen 38% from 167.7 million ounces to below 100 million ounces in just over 3 months. And since 2020, COMEX registered silver is down more than 70% from its peak. These are not opinions. These are official COMEX warehouse reports. Now let me put the March 2026 contract in plain language, because this matters enormously to what comes next for the price of your silver. February 27, 2026 is the first notice day for March delivery. That is the date by which holders of March futures contracts who want physical delivery must declare their intention. The March contract is one of the two primary delivery months on COMEX, the biggest delivery months of the year. As of early February, open interest in March stood between 85,000 and 91,000 contracts. Each contract represents 5,000 ounces. That is a theoretical delivery obligation of 425 to 455 million ounces. If just 20% of those contracts stand for delivery, a conservative historical estimate, COMEX would need to deliver 85 to 91 million ounces by February 27. If the drainage rate continues, registered inventory may be sitting at 85 million ounces or less. The math on its face does not work. What's more, February 2026 already showed a delivery rate of 98% with 18.72 million ounces physically delivered out of 19.1 million ounces of open interest. That is not a functioning paper futures market where contracts roll forward. That is a physical allocation mechanism, and it's happening right before the largest delivery month of the year. Citigroup has stated that silver could reach $100 per ounce by March and $110 per ounce in the second half of 2026. FX Empire Analysis has stated that a COMEX delivery failure could push silver prices above $200 per ounce. These are institutional voices, not fringe commentators. But I want to go deeper than the COMEX drama, because even if COMEX manages March, even if they raise margin rates again, cash settle contracts, or find metal to borrow, the structural story underneath is completely untouched by any of that. And that structural story is the reason you bought silver in the first place, and it is the reason you should stay in it. Global silver demand reached an estimated 1.24 billion ounces in 2025, while total supply from mining and recycling amounted to approximately 1.01 billion ounces. That is a structural deficit of more than 230 million ounces in a single year. According to Metals Focus, when ETF flows are included, 2025 represented the deepest silver supply shortfall ever recorded, approximately 295 million ounces. Silver has now been in structural deficit for 6 consecutive years. The cumulative shortfall since 2019 has exceeded 1.3 billion ounces, nearly equivalent to 1 full year of total global mine production, permanently consumed, permanently removed from the system. That metal is not coming back. And here is the critical point about mine supply that most people fundamentally misunderstand. 70% of silver produced in the world comes as a byproduct of mining copper, zinc, lead, and gold. Miners cannot simply decide to produce more silver just because the price goes up, because their operations run on the economics of the primary metal they are extracting. New dedicated silver mining projects require 8 to 12 years from discovery to production. When analysts say supply cannot respond, they mean it structurally, geologically, and economically. The Silver Institute confirms the deficit continues in 2026. There is no supply response coming in any time frame that matters to this market cycle. Now, let me talk about what the United States government did in November 2025, because this decision permanently altered the strategic landscape for silver, and every single smallholder needs to understand exactly what it means. On November 7th, 2025, the U.S. Geological Survey officially finalized the 2025 list of critical minerals, adding silver to the list for the very first time, alongside lithium, cobalt, and rare earth elements as materials deemed essential to U.S. economic and national security. Silver is now in the same regulatory category as the minerals that power America's defense systems, its energy future, and its advanced technology supply chains. The U.S. government formally acknowledged that it imports between 67 and 80% of its silver demand, that domestic production under 1,000 tons per year concentrated in Nevada and Alaska is completely insufficient, and that any supply disruption poses a real risk to the country's economic strength and national security. The designation opens the door to government stockpiling programs, federal funding, expedited permitting, and even potential Section 232 tariffs on silver imports, the same mechanism used for steel and aluminum. The International Precious Metals Institute called silver's designation a paradigm shift from monetary asset to strategic industrial commodity. When the U.S. government officially declares something a national security matter, you are no longer dealing with a commodity. You are dealing with a strategic resource, and strategic resources do not get priced by paper futures markets for very long. Then look at what China did, because these two government decisions, America's critical mineral designation and China's export controls, are two sides of the same geopolitical coin, and together they have permanently fractured the global silver market. On January 1st, 2026, China implemented a sweeping new licensing framework for silver exports. Under the new rules, only 44 state-approved companies are authorized to export silver, and only after obtaining government licenses from China's Ministry of Commerce. To even qualify for a license, a company must produce at least 80 tons of silver annually and demonstrate $30 million in credit lines, requirements that effectively exclude hundreds of smaller and mid-size exporters who have historically supplied Western industrial buyers. China controls between 60 and 70% of the world's refined silver supply. When the gatekeeper of 60 to 70% of global refined supply restricts exports overnight, that is not a quota adjustment, that is a resource weaponization. This is the exact playbook China already used with rare earth metals, with tungsten, and with antimony. Incremental restriction designed to convert market dominance into strategic leverage. Tesla CEO Elon Musk responded to news of the restrictions by posting, "The restrictions are not good because silver is needed in many industrial processes." The U.S. also had already flagged silver's supply chain vulnerability, specifically calling out the concentration risk of getting 25% of U.S. silver supply from Mexico alone as a national security choke point. Physical silver in Shanghai is now trading at premiums of $10 to $13 above Western paper benchmarks. The global silver market has effectively fractured into three regional islands, Asia, North America, and Europe, each competing for whatever metal it can physically secure. The paper market is setting one price, the physical market is telling you a completely different truth. Now let me address the industrial demand side, because this is the story that locks in the long-term thesis, regardless of what paper traders do next week or next month. Silver is not optional for the technologies that are building the next 50 years of civilization. Every solar panel manufactured anywhere in the world uses silver paste as its electrical conductor, and according to the Silver Institute, solar energy applications alone could account for nearly half of global silver demand by 2030. The U.S. added silver to its critical minerals list in large part because, as the USGS report explicitly states, photovoltaic demand alone already accounts for nearly 30% of global silver consumption and is rising fast. Electric vehicles use more silver than conventional vehicles across their electrical systems, drive motors, and charging infrastructure. Every AI data center, every 5G tower, every advanced semiconductor manufactured for AI chips runs on silver. Samsung C&T, a core subsidiary of the Samsung Group, recently finalized a direct deal to prepay a Canadian mining company to restart Mexico's La Paria silver mine, with a contractual clause giving Samsung exclusive rights to 100% of the mine's silver output for 2 years. That is not market-based procurement, that is resource lockup. Samsung bypassed COMEX entirely because they do not trust the paper market to deliver the physical silver they need for their manufacturing operations. When a technology giant of that scale goes directly to the mine, paying cash up front to secure 2 years of production, it is telling you everything about the state of the physical silver market. And critically, industrial silver demand is largely price inelastic. Solar manufacturers, EV producers, and chip fabricators need the silver, whether it costs $80 an ounce or $150 an ounce. There is no substitute that performs the same way in these applications. The demand does not go away when the price goes up. Let me give you the institutional price expectations, because I want you to see how the professional money is positioned on this. Citigroup has projected silver reaching $100 per ounce by March 2026 and $110 by the second half of 2026. BNP Paribas sees $100 as achievable by year-end. Gold Silver's Alan Hibbert has stated 2026 could outperform 2025's 147% gain. FX Empire Analysis has stated that a delivery failure at COMEX could push silver above $200 per ounce. Bank of America's metals research team has maintained long-term projections that see silver reaching $135 to $300 based on historical gold-to-silver ratio compression. The gold-silver ratio compressed to 45-1 in late January 2026, its lowest level since 2011, as silver briefly caught up to gold's historic run. Historically, when the ratio compresses this far, the moves are violent, fast, and they reward holders who did not panic out during the pullback. Every single major broker and institutional voice that made 2026 price forecasts in the $55 to $70 average range, those forecasts failed within the first month of the year. Silver went to $121. The consensus was wrong by almost 100%. And here is what I need every small silver holder to really absorb in this final moment of today's update. The crash from $121 to the $70 did not happen because the fundamentals broke. The fundamentals did not break, they strengthened. The crash happened because CME raised margin requirements to 60%, forcing paper traders off their leveraged positions in a cascade of forced selling. Paper silver got liquidated, physical silver did not move. Your stack did not go anywhere. Your ounces are still your ounces. The COMEX registered inventory continued draining after the price crash. Industrial buyers who stepped away at $120 have reportedly returned as aggressive buyers in the $80 range because their demand is inelastic and their procurement officers do not care about paper market drama. They care about securing physical supply for their manufacturing lines. China's 44-company approved export regime is still in place. The cumulative 1.3 billion ounce deficit since 2019 did not reverse. The U.S. critical mineral designation did not reverse. The March delivery pressure building toward February 27's first notice day did not reverse. Samsung's 2-year exclusive offtake deal on La Paria's output did not reverse. The solar demand trajectory that could consume nearly half of all silver supply by 2030 did not reverse. None of the reasons you hold physical silver changed. The paper price changed. And if you understand what paper price discovery actually is, a system built on 356 paper ounces for every single physical ounce that actually exists, then you understand that the paper price is the last thing you should be using to evaluate the real-world value of the physical metal in your possession. You are not holding a commodity that floats up and down on a future screen. You are holding a strategic national security asset, an essential industrial material with no scalable substitute, a monetary metal whose paper supply chain is mathematically incapable of meeting its delivery obligations, and a physical store of wealth in a world where every major government is competing to lock up supply before the window closes permanently. Stay physical. Stay patient. The first notice day for March delivery is February 27. The world is about to get another reminder of what physical scarcity actually means.